one of Amaranth's question from earlier, I mean, from when we shared our questions with each other,
Mhm.
was you have here like the nature and variety of sex work in Japan.
Yeah.
And you said that you weren't very like super knowledgeable about it. Uh, but did you do any research on that, or Amaranth, did you have anything you want to share specifically about that? Because I didn't do
Um,
any research, I'll just be honest.
I think we covered it a while ago when we talked about like where we would find ourselves. But if there's anything else you want to add, Amaranth, then go ahead.
yeah, there's actually quite a bit. So like there's like explicit sex work, and then there's, more innocent things where you kind of like play at the idea of sex, but not
Hmm,
um
interesting.
yeah, not explicitly. So like there are things called like snack bars,
Mhm.
where they're
I'm a
basically,
snack. Sorry.
um you basically go, they're catered more for men, generally older men as well, but there's usually like a single hostess who works the bar. She's your bartender, she's your friend. um my cat's going to end this call on accident, sorry. um uh she basically has the role of playing like a potential sex partner, without any like explicit expectation that that's going to happen. Um, but it's definitely played at. She pays attention to you. She caters to you, in a way that most Japanese men find attractive and pleasing.
So that sounds like
Um,
a
Mm,
regular bartender, though.
it's definitely more over the top.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I think I mentioned this when we were hanging out. Oh, I guess I just dropped names about who was hanging out last night. Um, but we I kind of brought up like, when you go to drinking parties, there's usually a second round. So when I went out with the people at my high school that I taught at, we usually went to a snack bar for our second round. And so the feel was definitely much more intimate. It was
mm,
smaller, like there's maybe like 6 chairs at the bar. Um,
mm,
and it's a very close and intimate setting. Like you can definitely like it's so small that you can definitely see, like, for bottle service, you can read the names of like whose bottle is whose. And
mm.
like the hostess will join in karaoke with you, and it's kind of like an expectation. It's not like, oh, we should ask the bartender if she wants to do a song. No, she's like, she might even start it off, if anything.
Mm.
um so, and like very deep and intimate conversations about like home life and family, and how's the wife, how's the kids. uh
Okay.
so yeah, it's quite intimate.
Are
So
there
I have a
any?
question.
You go ahead.
Okay, so is that like a geisha, or is that something that doesn't exist anymore?
No, geisha still exists.
Geisha.
um
Okay.
it definitely, there's actually, oh, that's a whole nother topic of sexuality, but one of the most um famous or sought after geisha in Japan, um very recently anyway, was actually a young male,
I didn't
who
know.
he was the last person in his family. Like, I think he was an only child of a prominent family that of geisha,
Mm.
and so he took up the mantle to kind of continue the family business. And yeah, very very sought after, very good at his trade. Um, I guess it's not really understood what his sexuality or gender um, preference. I guess I'm not really sure what term I need to use right now, but like gender identity. There we go. Is that's not really known, but you know, it's still a thriving business, especially in Kyoto. Um, you can even go and like dress up as a geisha for the day. That's a pretty thriving business as well. Um, but yeah, it's out of the same tradition, definitely. But um, the it's a little bit different, I think.
So when you
Hmm.
say it's more over the top than a regular bartender, to me it still seems like a regular bartender. So are there
Okay.
any like actions that a normal bartender wouldn't do that somebody at a snack bar would do to let you know like that it's really over the top?
I mean, I don't know, maybe boundaries with physical touch.
Mm,
Um, I don't know, like the topics, the fact that um the hostess is it's usually a hostess. Like there's no as far as I know, there's no like male run
mm,
snack bars.
okay,
It's usually a female at the bar. Um, and they definitely just cater to things that um, a slightly older generation of Japanese men would be
gotcha.
into.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess like the difference between a regular bar and a snack bar in Japan too is markedly different. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah,
Is it something you'd have
there's
to
not.
see to know? Like if you see it, you'd know for sure. Like this is different.
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah. When you experience, you're just like, okay, this is
Alright, that makes it
different.
easier for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So like snack bars are one thing. Host clubs, hostess clubs. Um, those are a different thing as well. Where like I think host clubs and hostess clubs are definitely more of like you're going to go there and you're going to be assigned a person and they're going to lavish you
Mm,
with attention um, and usually ply you with drinks as well um, to kind of like play up that fantasy
mhm.
as well. Um, there's things like compensated dating, um, who like again, when I was on Tinder in Japan, there was a person who was using a perfectly free website to offer compensated dating
Mm,
to
Hmm.
people. And it's just like, well, if you wanted to date, you don't have to like put that up there. But I guess like a part of it too is like people would also enjoy the feeling of paying money for
mm,
um,
gotcha.
the girlfriend experience, you know?
Mhm,
I think in America they call that being a sugar baby.
mhm,
Yeah. Um, but even then, like compensated dating in Japan, it's not necessarily like an age thing. Whereas in the US, it tends to be an age thing as well.
Mm.
Right. So like
mostly.
an older man to a younger woman or an older woman to a younger man.
I think there's
Um,
been a recent upsurge of a different type of site that you can use for that. That doesn't have any age restrictions on it, but I have to look
mm,
into it.
that's interesting.
Huh. Compensated dating. That's an interesting topic because I know in some cultures, well, maybe not some cultures, we already kind of talked about it. In Japan, it's kind of hard to navigate the dating scene. And I wonder if this is one way people can quote unquote practice in a way.
Um, Yeah. I guess if you're trying to do if you're trying to compensate somebody within your own age group or class or whatever,
Mm.
um, then yeah, you could definitely see it as a way to practice or just like easily get somebody to be in your space long enough to, I guess, develop a relationship. Um, but again, it's kind of also a gateway for exploitation because a lot of people are just looking for, like, it's older men looking for younger girls. And, um, you know, you don't really know what kind of situation
Yeah.
everybody's in. So,
Oh.
yeah.
So the site is called Seeking. I think that's where Myron from Fresh and Fit met the girl that he was talking to.
Yeah.
So like there's no age restriction necessarily. It's just rich versus not so rich.
Mm. Man, this is like a lot of stuff that I'm. It's just like, my brain is like exploding right now.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like thinking about anime and about how like in anime everybody looks like they're like 12 years old, and um, I'm guessing in the other version of anime that you would find on the hub,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I don't want to get too explicit.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Often those characters also look kind of underage as well. So like, is that like a cultural thing, like being that young? And because you also said that the age of consent is 13, so like, is that a normal thing? Does pedophilia? Oh, I don't know if I could use that word on YouTube. Does that exist in Japan, or is that
So
just like a normal thing?
I just want to say that there's actually a like a category for that. So they don't look like they're young, they are young. But I'm ready to
Ugh.
continue answering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely um a fetish too of like having people dressed as schoolgirls, like, fully like, I mean, consenting even like in the US or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
countries where laws are a little bit more
Mm.
conservative, um, where you like like a 25-year-old might dress as a schoolgirl, um,
Mm.
for a date or something like that. Or it's a very popular theme in um, porn and things like that as well. So yeah, um, yeah, I think like it's less of like actual age and more of just like selling an image of purity
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm.
and youth, um, which like can mean a lot of things to different people. But um, yeah, I think that's what it kind of boils down to.
Okay, that makes it a little bit easier to accept, I guess.